Hello and welcome. Imagine waking up one morning and finding that you can't go to work, buy a train or bus ticket, or access your own bank account, all because your digital ID is inactive. That's not a dystopian fantasy anymore. It's an anti-human reality being quietly built up around us, a coordinated global push for digital identification systems that promise convenience but deliver unprecedented surveillance and control. None of it requested, none of it wanted, and all of it fiercely resisted. Across the world, governments are rolling out national digital ID programs with no debate, minimal transparency, and near total synchronization. In the United States, at least 25 states have already introduced digital driver's licenses, meaning your phone can now replace your physical wallet at airport check-in. Europe's passed legislation mandating every member nation to implement a national digital identity wallet by 2026. And in China, the system is already live, directly tied to their infamous social credit score. South Korea, Singapore, Nigeria, and the UAE are also on board. More than 100 countries either have a national digital ID or are building one right now. To most people, it sounds harmless, even practical. A digital license on your phone, they say, will make life easier. But few understand how transformative and dangerous this technology really is. It's not just an electronic version of your driver's license. It's the foundation for a new form of digital governance. One where access to basic services, travel, and even speech can be switched on or off at the tap of a button. At first glance, a digital ID seems like a simple upgrade. It's a secure electronic credential, usually stored in an app that verifies who you are. It uses biometrics, fingerprints, facial scans, or iris recognition, combined with cryptographic encryption to make identity theft harder. Once verified, your ID becomes reusable. Need to prove you're over 21? The app can simply confirm yes without revealing your birthday or license number. On paper, it looks safer. Fewer documents floating around, less chance of fraud, less bureaucracy. But the same feature that makes it efficient also makes it dangerous: centralization. When all identification, financial, medical, legal, funnels through one digital gateway, whoever controls that gateway effectively controls your life. As Robert F. Kennedy Jr. warned, it's turnkey totalitarianism. Once installed, it enables real-time surveillance, digital censorship, and economic punishment, all under the falsity of security and public health. China offers the most chilling example. Their newly launched digital ID integrates directly with the social credit system. Every citizen's ID is linked to their financial history, travel rights, and online behaviour. If the government disapproves of something you've said, or if you fail to meet state-mandated health requirements like vaccines, your privilege vanish. People have been banned from travel, denied housing, and even blocked from receiving pensions because their biometric verification failed. In some cases, citizens discovered they were blacklisted only when they tried to buy a train ticket and couldn't. This is the nightmare scenario of a cashless, paperless society. Once your identity, payments, and reputation are digital, non-compliance becomes a switch the state can flip. In the European Union, digital identity is not coming, it's already legislated. Under the EIDAS 2.0 framework, all member states must provide citizens with a government-backed digital wallet by 2026. This single app will allow users to log into banks, file taxes, travel and access health records. It's being marketed as a universal login for life. In the UK, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has called for mandatory digital ID to verify the right to work and rent. In the US, no federal system exists yet, but the infrastructure is forming. 25 states have operational mobile driver's licenses and another 20 are developing them. Major corporations, Amazon, Uber, and even airlines, are starting to accept these credentials. The Biden administration had already issued executive orders for federal adoption. Meanwhile, Singapore's SingPass and South Korea's new ID app have completely replaced physical cards. Nigeria and the UAE are integrating theirs with thousands of government and financial services. In less than a decade, the world has moved from pilot programs to global implementation, and few citizens even noticed. Governments and organisations like the UN and the World Bank insist this is all for our benefit. Well, of course they do. Their official narrative emphasises three goals: security, convenience and inclusion. They claim digital IDs will combat identity fraud, simplify access to services and include the world's 1 billion people who currently lack identification. Estonia, the poster child of e-governance, says that 99% of public services there are digital, saving the nation 2% of its GDP annually. The European Commission promises interoperability, one ID that works across borders for banking, taxation, and even bike rentals. The UN calls digital identity the key to sustainable development and pledges legal identity for all by 2030. It sounds noble, but behind the glossy language lies an uncomfortable truth. The same system that connects everyone also controls everyone. One single system defines your identity. Governments and corporations can track, restrict or monetize every aspect of your existence. We've already seen ominous glimpses of this power during Canada's Freedom Convoy protests in 2022. The government invoked emergency powers to freeze the bank accounts of ordinary citizens who donated to the demonstrators. No trial, no conviction, just suspicion. Similar cases have surfaced in Georgia and other countries where authorities cut off activists' access to funds. Under current anti-money laundering laws, such actions are easy to justify if all it takes is an allegation of unusual activity. Imagine that power when every transaction, location and communication is tied to your state-verified ID. Then there's the corporate side. Tech giants are already integrating digital IDs into their platforms. Once universal, these IDs will create what privacy advocates call a super cookie. Websites already track your browsing habits to sell ads. Now imagine that level of tracking expanded to your real-world identity, your purchases, travel, income, and behaviour all linked and analysed. That enables something called dynamic pricing. Prices that change based on what companies know about you. Airports already charge $20 for a sandwich because you're a captive audience. But with digital ID data, an algorithm could see that you've just flown 10 hours and that you're hungry and tired and raise that price just for you. Ticketmaster already uses similar logic. Airlines do too. Now imagine that applied to every online purchase, every ride, every meal. Personalised exploitation powered by data you didn't consent to share. Even insurance companies could adjust rates based on your travel patterns, social behaviour, or spending habits. The more they know, the more they control, and you can't opt out because the system is your identity. The third and most alarming dimension is surveillance. Some US digital ID apps already include a phone home feature, automatically pinging government databases each time your ID is scanned at a bar, airport or hotel. That creates a timestamped log of everywhere you go, updated in real time. Combine that with emerging central bank digital currencies, programmable money, and you get a blueprint for the economy where every transaction can be approved, denied, or even expired based on policy. This isn't theoretical. China's Digital Yuan has already included programmable features that limit how and when funds may be spent. Western nations are experimenting with similar systems. Once biometric data becomes currency, freedom becomes conditional. And when that data leaks, as it did in India's Aadhaar system, where information from over 1 billion people was exposed, there's no recovery. You can't reset a fingerprint. Governments insist that digital ID will stop fraud and illegal immigration. But even the basic logic doesn't hold up. If employers today ignore existing ID laws, what makes anyone believe they'll enforce digital ID requirements? It doesn't solve the problem. It just creates a new tool for surveillance and control. The real risk isn't fake identities, it's the loss of genuine autonomy. Once you accept a system that can deny access to money, transport, or communication, freedom becomes a privilege granted by software. The pattern is clear. First, digital ID is sold as optional, then it becomes necessary for security, finally it becomes mandatory for participation in everyday life. We saw this during the pandemic when vaccine passports dictated who could travel or work. It didn't stop the spread of disease, it just normalised digital compliance. The argument that only the guilty need fear collapses once you realise how arbitrary guilt becomes. A tweet, a protest donation, or an unpopular opinion could be enough to suspend your digital existence. Governments frame this as modernisation, but history shows that whenever technology centralises power, it's abused. Data breaches, censorship, political blacklisting, all are outcomes. So where does this lead? To a world where your access to work, food and freedom depends on a system you don't control. A world where compliance isn't just encouraged, it's enforced algorithmically. Digital IDs may start as a convenience, a tap to prove who you are, but they morph into the bars of a digital cage. The question is no longer if this system is coming, because it's already here in contemptuous disregard of the fact that we don't want it and resolutely object to it. The question now is whether we submissively accept it without protest, and if enough people will stand up and say no more. Because once freedom is programmed into an app, it only takes one update, one remote mouse click to delete it, and in the process, erase your ability to exist. Thank you for watching.